George, I want to welcome you to the Ronline report on MD. Thank you so much for being part of this. Um, I'm going to start right at what everyone's been talking about. It's been a couple months now since we got the news that you were diagnosed. So I want you to start the beginning for everybody. When did you first know something was not quite right?
Well, it's been actually over a year,
Wow.
since yeah, this is the sad thing, you know what I mean? It's been over a year that I felt actually like problem urinating,
Hmm.
you know, and so of course, like any good man, you got to go get checked. I did my physical, everything's good. We checked my prostate, PSA is good. Everything, like everything turned out to be okay. They thought maybe it could be a bladder infection. We checked it. There's nothing really, wrong with the bladder. I got scoped in the prostate. They said, well, it's really nothing there, but we could use some antibiotic. Let's say maybe it's inflamed. So I went on a course of antibiotic. Didn't really help much, and it started dragging because of the antibiotic for 30 days, because they put you on a heavy course.
Yeah.
So I started having like bad diarrhea, running to the bathroom and because of bodybuilding and stuff, I have some hemorrhoids. So I figured, oh, maybe that's why I'm bleeding now. The hemorrhoids get inflamed. So, we start thinking maybe it's secondary, you know what I mean? Like maybe the pain, it's because of the hemorrhoids, it's a secondary pain. So you're feeling it, while you're urinating.
Yeah.
So I went, and then finally about I want to say 8 months ago or so, I saw a colorectal surgeon. So he looked at me. He goes, "Yes, that could cause it. It's definitely your hemorrhoids having some problem. Mind you, my wife, she's a medical director.
Right.
And I'm not too far behind with all the knowledge and stuff that I have. So
Right.
anyway, you know what? We have a good way now. We can go in there, bend the hemorrhoids, and they fall off, and eventually we start feeling better. So we did the first one, and at that time, my kidney level was not good due to the shooting. I was worried about my kidney because my GFR was very low, very bad, and I'm working to fix that. Because they're telling me, it's going bad. You might, we're gonna put you on the list. They actually did put me on the list for, for having a kidney transplant.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the shooting really left me a mess. I have one kidney and it's not that good.
Yeah.
Make the story short, I was determined to fix the kidney. At that time, this started happening. So I'm like, man, double whammy. So I dropped my protein to very little. I'm doing a lot of, vegetables, a lot of fruit, a lot of this. And, but I kept a little protein. So let's go back to the colorectal. So he did the first, thing without, he couldn't numb me, he couldn't do anything because of my kidney. They're worried, we don't want to mess with that.
Hmm.
So he did the first one. I can't even explain to you the pain. It was like just crucial pain. I left. I wasn't too happy. Felt like violated.
Yeah.
Make the story short, it really didn't make any difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The blood was still there. He said, well, you still have, a lot of them. Let's do, so every couple of weeks we'll do one. Meanwhile, I'm so busy. I'm traveling all over the world. And then he did like 3 of them. On the third one, I'm like, doctor, not for nothing, but I'm feeling worse.
Hmm.
I said, and so I stopped pointing. Like I told him, from here to here, like I don't feel good. Like I go to sleep, I'm not sleeping right. So he goes, I said, I'm traveling, I be careful. He said, well, here, there's Vicodin, and here's some numbing cream, and we're thinking hemorrhoids. I told him, I said, don't you think you get scoped? So now I'm getting like worried because I'm like, it doesn't feel good. He said, well, you're too young, you're in mid-40s, you just get scoped. 4 years ago, you were okay, because I always get scoped due to my incident, being shot and stuff.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So then at that time, I was going to Italy to do my seminar, and then the pro show where I was helping Lionel, and he won.
Yeah.
But on my way to Italy, on the plane, and I'm looking at the freaking, like the time, how long we have, because I can't sleep, and I can't go to the bathroom, I can't pee, and I can't do number two neither. I was like, I'm hurting. I kept sitting on the toilet and the blood coming out, and I'm like, so finally, I'm like, man, let me text my wife. Luckily we have Wi-Fi, on the flight. So I text my wife, why you're not sleeping? I said, honey, I think I'm gonna die. She said, what are you talking about? I said, I can't urinate and I can't go to the bathroom. I said, and I feel that real bad pain. And she said, why don't you take the Vicodin? I give you Vicodin. And usually, Ron, because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that stuff, one Vicodin usually like put me on the queer street.
Sure. Yeah.
I told her, honey, I had to take 6 of them.
Wow.
She said, what? I said, I took 6 Vicodins so far. Nothing. The pain is there. I feel like I'm going to die. She said, honey, just relax. I'm looking on the flight. There was like an hour, like almost 2 hours, to get to Italy. I don't know how I get to Italy. As soon as I get to the hotel, filled up a bathtub, hot bathtub. I sat in it, try to relax. My stomach is hurting. Like I'm in agony. And then one of my clients, she's calling me. She said, I told her, I said, honey, I'm in a bathtub. I'm in so much pain. It's not even funny. She said, what's wrong? I told her stomach. She said, you know what? My husband is a doctor. I'm going to put him on the phone. So she put him on the phone. I talked to him. She goes, what exactly is going on? So I told him what's going on. He goes, okay. He said, I'll be right there. Literally, about 15 minutes later, he came. He had some medication, put it in water, made me drink it, give me some other stuff, stool softener, everything. I went to the bathroom. The pain went away, So I finished the show, did my things, came back home, went to see the doctor. He said, so now he's talking to me about like, oh, we're going to do Botox. Maybe that's why you have the spasm. I told him what happened to me. I said, listen. I said, doctor, I need to get scoped. But, we should do this. And then that's when my wife told him, she said, listen, doctor, we're both doctors, of course, but I know my husband. He knows his body. He's one of the most intelligent people you can meet. He said he wants to get scoped. So that's the bottom line. So we're not going to, she told him basically, we're not touching him. He was going to do it. I'm like, no. So we go, okay, let's schedule a scope. We scheduled a scope for 5 days later. I went there. Sure enough, everything I was thinking about was true. Send it to biopsy. He said he found something, and of course the biopsy came. It's a cancer, So now we had to do, they call it the staging, We have to go how big it is, MRI, the whole 9 yards. So we did all that stuff. Unfortunately, because it was left so long, for over a year, untreated, it got real big. So it's a stage 3, 4, And what it did, it went to the colon a little bit and taken over the bladder. And that's why I kept getting more problem urinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, we went, make story short, saw a doctor. The first doctor, she's young. We talked to her, and something came about like you have 30% chance. I'm like, I don't like that. First of all, like you shouldn't be even saying this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I understood it wrong, but my wife is there. Don't say that to me. So because nobody is God. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they don't know what especially now that I know there's something's going on. With all the stuff I have in my mind and how many people I have helped. I'm like, you know what, man? I don't, so I got to see somebody else. So my wife went and saw a doctor in another hospital that he used to be her mentor. He's a little older, he's in his 60s, but when I went there, he was supposed to be going on vacation. Next day, he said, but it's okay, he wants to see me before he go that afternoon. Went and saw him. He put all the MRI. He was so prepared. He showed me everything, and I said, honey, there's no brainer. Here's the guy I need to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to mention, you have 28 years of experience too, in colorectal. So we decided to do that route. But he said, George, because of the pelvis and because of my previous shooting, I only have a quarter of my large intestines, so he can't really so he have to be very careful because it's such a tight area, so much scar tissue. He said, we need to do chemo, try to shrink it as much as we can, and then we go from there. Now, the good news is, everybody I talk to about the chemo, I go to the chemo center, everybody smoking weed, everybody's like doing, because
good.
it is really, really harsh drug.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there, just want to make money. That's what, dude, that's my wife and her friends. It's not about money. It's about they want to make George live. Unfortunately, a lot of the doctors, they don't know nutrition. They only give them 20 hours throughout their 10, 12 years of, study.
Right.
So they don't know nutrition. But that's where I come, So I know nutrition. So I went on an alkaline base. Like a lot of people, a lot of studies suggest, doing the keto. But you know what? The keto is not going to work with me, with my kidney, because I'm already from 3.1 creatinine. I went down to 1.4. My GFR from 24 going on dialysis, now it's 54. Wow. So I fixed my kidney through the process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I decided that I'm not going to put any meat, so all my protein is going to be plant-based. I'm using a very little protein, natural protein, whey protein, a little bit here and there. But so far, the chemo, because I think I'm eating so good, it didn't really affect me much. Maybe a little bit, of course, you have a little side effect. Your finger get real cold. You can't touch any cold beverages. You can't drink any cold beverages. So this is all going to be story. I'm going to tell the world about it eventually.
Yeah.
If God's willing, I beat it,
Yeah.
But the good news is that I start feeling better, So I know something is working, and right now we only did 4 treatment, 4 chemo treatment. But with the food I changed, even the doctors where I'm going there, they're like looking at me, they're like, man, when we're done, you got to start changing. You have to start changing stuff because, I'm sitting there, they bring you food, you got to sit for 4 or 5 hours, to do the first infusion. So they're bringing you bologna and cheese sandwiches. Are you serious? So I went to the doctor. I said, dude, what the hell? This is the cause of cancer. This is the cause of He said, yeah, but we don't know. Nobody cater. I said, I know people they cater. So I hooked them up with other people. Now they start bringing, soup, lentil soup and bean soup and getting some, grilled chicken with some salad. So people eating better because of me, you know what I mean? It's so funny how things work out. So the doctor he goes, it makes sense, because they're really happy how quickly, actually, like I said, after 4 treatment, I'm already going to the bathroom. Thank God, no blood anymore. I'm feeling a little better, much better, actually. And the only time I have a little downtime, it's after the chemo, because remember, that chemo was for 3 days infusion. So they put you in the hospital, they put it in your chest. You can see here, I have a little bump.
Wow.
So yeah, they call it's a port, so they can, infuse it. And so you're there like for 5 hours, but then they give you a chemo ball, work on the gravity. So you put it, on the pouch, and it keep pumping the chemo for the next 2 days. So it's literally about a good 3 days. And then in those 3 days, I mean, it's really brutal. And then on the 4th, 5 days, even worse. Like you have no energy, nothing. But you know what? Somehow George Farah managed to go down to the gym, work out every day, still forcing my food, and he's telling me, like even the doctors, the nurses, they said, I can't believe you're still eating. I said, you guys don't understand. I'm a bodybuilder. Yeah. And I was, I came from a band to go to the Olympia 3 times. So I had to force feed myself all my life, So yeah, it's terrible what's happening. But honestly, I feel like everybody out there, man, like supporting me, being positive, so many prayers from people that I never thought they would pray for me. They're praying, and you know what? It works. It really, really works, man. And that's why, like, when people see me, they said, man, this guy don't look like he have that bad of a cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like Steve was calling me, and he told me, he said, I can't believe the energy. I said, dude, I'm going out there. I did, when we had that first a big snowstorm here, 2 feet. I'm going out there. I have my little four-wheeler. I'm plowing around the house. My wife, she goes, "You have the chemo ball on you." I said, "Honey, who's gonna do it?
That's true.
I'm still the man of the house." So all in all, it's not bad. All in all, I'm still taking care of all my clients. Actually, I have a couple overall win. This past weekend, I have some pros. They're placing good. It's good. It's good. So hopefully, the way things are going, they're thinking maybe the end of the summer it will shrink enough so we can go in there and remove it. And because of the chemo, Ron, a lot of people don't know your immune system is in the toilet.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking a lot of vitamins, a lot of stuff. The problem is a lot of the stuff that it boosts your immune system. You can't take it because if you take it, you're defeating the purpose of the chemo. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they count it. So it's just little things you can take. The vitamin C I can take. The vitamin D I can take. Certain things you can take, others you can't. Like for example, simple stuff like green tea. We all know what a great antioxidant.
Sure.
So I tell bodybuilders right now, all my bodybuilders, I'm adding 3 times a day green tea. They're like, "I'm trying to gain weight." I'm like, "You don't understand, dude. I want everybody to be like, boosting his immune system from now, so you don't have to worry about getting cancer or getting." So it really makes you realize, man, like as a bodybuilder, how much we are missing. And it's so weird when I was competitive bodybuilder, and I went and checked 4 years ago, everything was okay. But that past 4 years, dude, I'm not eating my vegetables, I'm not eating my fruit, I'm just like lagging, eating this, eating that. So I really have a big, like suspicious that this is the reason, like I didn't have any, I'm just eating white rice, chicken, because I want to stay in shape, because I'm the guru. In reality, man, I missed up on a lot of stuff, the fruit, this and that. And this is all the good antioxidant you take, we're always on the run, we're always traveling. So I suggest everybody out there, man, at least once a week, do a detox. A lot of juicing, a lot of good fruit, a lot of good vegetable, clean up your system. So now they're saying when they went, on the MRI, I have a lot of lead from the previous shooting. I have a lot of lead and a lot of scar tissue. So a lot of doctors, they
is
say,
that lead from the bullets?
Yes, they were
Jeez.
left there, and you can't remove every bit of them. I mean, even in the MRI, if a lot of people know about MRI, there's 3.0 and 1.5. They can't put me in a 3.0 because it will suck the lead and it could kill me. Wow. So I have to go in a smaller one, and they put shield at certain places. So it's very complicated. But a couple of the docs, they're a friend of mine, they said, "You know what? Because of your scar tissue and because of the lead, that could be the cause." Because, we all know I'm a professional bodybuilder. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, of course, I took steroid, I took growth hormone, we all did. But you know what? Yeah. That's not the reason. Because I hate, like, a lot of people, like, "Oh, yeah, because all that crap you took." No, first of all, I didn't take a lot. Did anybody know me? I'm with one kidney. So I always did the right thing.
Yeah.
I said, but no. Because last week when somebody texted me, they sent on my Instagram or Facebook, I don't remember, "Oh yeah, maybe the stuff you took." I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here. There's a 13-year-old girl. She have the same identical problem as me. She have a colorectal. She's 13, cancer, the poor thing. I said, "So, but she took steroid too?" I said, even the doctors tell me no. They said steroid have nothing to do with it. It's not. Now we know everything you abuse, of course, it could cause a problem, but that's not from abusive. This is something, unfortunately, happened only to me because my grandparents on both sides, they lived to be in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So it's not in my family. It's not a gene. So we need to be very careful. Like I was very, very surprised, Ron, with the colorectal and colon cancer, how much is in the uprise. It's crazy. So we need to watch the GMO. We need to watch what we eat. We really, especially bodybuilders, man, they need to stick to a clean, good diet. And I'm talking organics. I'm talking as much as you can. Stay away from a lot of red meat. Stay away from a lot of junk food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The McDonald's, really, because, dude, I mean, the more research I'm doing, really, there's a lot of like good doctors I'm talking to, and they're saying, sadly, this is going to be the only era that the kids are not going to be able to outlive the parents, and it's
Wow.
sad. It's
Wow.
sad. So we really need to put it out there. We really need to tell people, man, be careful. You know, I mean, I already said it in my lot of seminars and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, the pharmaceutical company, they made over $2 trillion, last year. They
Wow.
don't really care about you being dead. They don't want you dead, but they don't want you healthy neither. So
Right.
they want us in between. It's just like any businessman. They want
Yeah.
to make the money. But we need to be smart because they're who's with the food company and the big food corporations. You know what I mean? Everything genetically freaking now infused. It's really sad. I mean, they tell you people are living longer now because of the medicine. Yes and no, because nobody used to have cancer in their 13 and 20s and stuff. And we know our grandparents, you know what? I mean, even me, I came from a poor family. We didn't have much. But you know what? We always ate good meals, very little meat, very little because we couldn't afford it, first of all. And second, wasn't, according to us, it wasn't really healthy, back in the days.
Right.
So now it makes you wonder, are we really living longer? I don't think so because the disease is on the uprise. A lot of people are dying left and right from numerous things. Sugar, we all know sugar, from people, I mean, just from the 60s, we don't have to go farther. From the 60s, the average American used to consume 4 pounds of sugar a year. Now it's 160 pounds of sugar a year.
Wow.
I mean, my God, what do you think? Like I tell people, I said, hey, would you give your son, cocaine? They said no. So why would you give him a sucker? And the sugar is actually more, it's deadlier than the freaking cigarette and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all in the caboose, man. But I'm so glad that you asked me, Ron, and Steve asked me to be here because I really, man, I think everything in life happened for a reason. Like when I got shot, I draw so many people, helped so many people, living with one kidney, helped so many guys like Dexter, Kai, and everything that they don't need that much diuretic collapse on the stage. Like Dexter did, he won freaking 2 Arnolds with me without any diuretic. You know what I'm saying? So it really, I think this has happened. Like people say, oh my God, why this has happened to me? But now, the more I'm thinking about it, yeah, I was sad, I was disappointed. I was hurt. I mean, I missed the Arnold. I haven't missed the Arnold in 17 years. I missed the Arnold,
Yeah.
So, so to me is like, I think this is happening, man. Like when George Farah beat this, God's willing, I'm going to teach a lot of people, man, not to be scared and how to prevent it to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So really it's teaching me a lot, staying at home, not be able to go a lot of places because I don't want to catch any germ, with my immune system being low. I'm always in the book. I'm always studying. And my wife keep bringing me more stuff. And Steve actually, thank God, Steve Blackman, Mr. Blackman, been sending me so many research on cancer and stuff. And you know what? It's good because information is power. And when somebody like me have it, I really want to share it with everybody and try to help everybody achieve the unachievable, and do something. Because if we all put our hands together, we can really do something about it, brother.
Well, it's cool that you're sharing all this info and your experience because all of us are going to be affected by cancer. My dad died, I had aunts and uncles die, and 1 in 3 people, is that the statistic? 1 in 3 people in America are going to get cancer in their lifetime?
It's really amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So
crazy.
we're all going to be affected by it. Either we're going to have it or someone we love is going to have it. So the more we know and all this preventative stuff, the better.
Ron, like you said, the more we know, it's better. And I think honestly, sometimes it happens to the good people for a reason. So I don't want people to give up out there, man. There is a chances. I mean, I have talked to so many people. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine once sent them, an article to MD because I helped him beat, a lymphoma, cancer. So you know what? I know a lot of stuff about it. Thank God that this didn't happen to one of my family because it's hard for me to tell them what to do. So I'm doing it. I want to beat it, Ron. This is my plan, man. And hopefully, next year we'll be seeing me and you doing an interview and tell you how I beat it. and how good it feels to be back, to normal. The most important thing, if anybody out there have it, stay positive. It's that's what it's all about, being positive, and don't stop working out. It doesn't matter how bad you feel. If you feel terrible, take a nap or whatever, but try to work out. That's what I'm doing. I'm working out every day. I'm not the big George I used to be. I lost probably about 50 pounds since the summer till now, But you know what? I still have little abs. Look at my muscles still, yeah. So it's happy, man. You gotta just stay positive. You just gotta stay positive.
Cool, man. Yeah, we're all rooting for you. We're all praying for you. Any time we hear anybody's dealing with this, we all wish for the best. But especially so many of us have known you over the years, and you've always been such a good guy. I mean, I really
Thank you.
hope for the best. I want to switch gears just a little bit because this is something you're going to have a really good opinion and perspective on. I'm sure you've been following the whole thing with during the play-by-play. It was right after the play-by-play for the Arnold Australia. Sean Ray posted some comments about Chad, saying that Chad he insinuated that some clients in the past of Chad had died. Many others had been seriously harmed, and basically insinuated that it was because Chad worked with them and that these health problems and even deaths might have occurred. And then he's gone on to say in general that gurus are probably a dangerous thing because they're guiding people to use these substances when they don't have medical degrees. They're not doctors. They're really in no position to be. So, there's a big long-running thread on MD called Sean Ray versus Gurus. I don't know if you've caught any of it or if you've caught wind of any of what I'm talking about.
I did.
So, you're a guru. What do you have to say in response to what Sean's been saying?
You know what? I mean, a lot of the stuff that Sean pointed out, it's true. I mean, everybody and his mother is a guru. You know what I mean? Everybody in them is mother, like prep guy. You know what? Honestly, some of these people, I don't know how they can go to sleep at night. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So what I do basically is based on the 20 plus years of experience, working on myself, being dead and came back alive. I have a lot more to offer the safe way. And anybody that works with me, they'll tell you, ask Kai, ask Dexter, ask Branch, ask all these guys. I mean, even the people that left me, they still now sending me like, wow, man, you're the best we ever worked with. You kept us safe. Thank you. Because let's face it, man, there's life after bodybuilding. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so good that, everybody want to win but I always tell people, what's good, how good is going to do you, you know what I mean? If you actually won the Olympia and you're going to be on dialysis next,
Yeah.
or how good is going to do you if you won a pro show or your local show and next thing they got to, fix you because you have jaundice and your liver is messed up. I mean, people need to think, man, and especially, I feel bad for the younger guys, the younger people out there that nobody really care about them. Dude, somebody need, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put the battery in because this is dying, but somebody need to really do something about the younger generation because bodybuilding is not safe anymore. Bodybuilding is not healthy anymore. You know what I'm saying? When all these guys pushing more and pushing more. I'll give you an example. I don't like to talk about anybody. Sean have his opinion. Chad have his own opinion. They're both my friends. I can't take sides, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, come, to Sean's defense, well, if you know that your client is sick, why is he on the stage? You know what I mean? You all see Lionel at the Arnold, he was fourth, and he's telling me, he said, I had fever. I said, why didn't you tell me before? Unfortunately, I wasn't there because he said, I have fever. I said, then we're not going to use anything to put you in a danger. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I can't, put any diuretic in you. So this is stuff like you're going to make, up on what's going on so you can be safe. And then he tells me, okay, look, so what should I do for next week? I said, here's the story, Lionel. You're sick. I'm not going to be there. You're not going to do any more show. Let's close the season.
Yeah.
I said, okay, bro, I'll agree with you. You know, why would I take the guy there and put him in a danger way? There's no reason. I can't sleep, Ron.
Yeah.
So everybody have his own method and own things. I'm not going to like fault Chad, or I'm not going to, you know, like I said, they're both my friends. Everybody has an opinion, but by my opinion, if somebody's sick, the hell with the show. You know, the hell with the show. You know, and I don't think anybody's going to force any of these guys. Like, a lot of people, they tell me, aren't you mad this guy left you? And this guy, no, dude, I'm not mad. These guys are grown men. Yeah. They make their own decision. I'm there to guide them the right way. You know, I'm not doing the workout. I'm not putting the plates on my back and killing myself. It's there. I'm just, you know, a stone, like to a step in the way. So help them out. But in order for me to help somebody, I got to look at everything, man, like the bigger picture. You can't just, you know, put people in danger because somehow you became a famous guru or something. No, it's not right. Honestly, I think we have to be safe. I mean, you saw all my article. I always tell people, listen, man, there's life after bodybuilding. Yeah. You know, I tell a lot of guys, they come to me, they're young. I'm like, listen, you want to have kids in the future, you better stop asking me about put you on this, and my friend on this. I said, I'm the wrong guy then. You hired the wrong guy. So you know what? It's all about your conscience. How can you live with it? So I don't, you know, like I said, everybody uses, you know, do whatever they want. I'm doing whatever I want. You know, to me, the most important thing is, especially the younger generation, they need to understand bodybuilding is not healthy anymore, man. People used to go to the gym to be healthy. Right now, bodybuilding is like the worst. You can be there, they're walking like a pharmaceutical. They're like a bomb ready to explode. Yeah. That's now. We have lost so many good people. You know, in knock on the wood. I don't want none of my client to be next. You know what I mean? Right. Because I'll make sure that this not going to happen to them. I'll make sure they get blood work before they work with me. I'll make sure they get blood work while they're working with me for this reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer. I'm glad that you were so open and honest about it, because it's, you know, these are things that people don't like to really talk about. We try to ignore the fact that there are a lot of health risks associated with, you know, being a top-level pro bodybuilder in 2017. The game has changed quite a bit since, you know, you were starting out competing and back in the day. So one last question for you. I know it's early in the season still, but you're kind of close to Kai. I just want your opinion. Do you think Kai will ever do the Mr. Olympia again?
You know what? I mean, it's so funny you're asking this. We were just talking about it last night, you know. We sit down, we talked. You know, there's a lot of stuff Kai doing I can't say right now because he got some major good opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm so happy for him. So, you know, to Kai is like, I don't know, George, you know, like where I'm going to get out of it. Well, it's your dream. That's what you want to be. You want to be Mr. Olympia. Yeah. I said, and as of what we saw last year, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when Phil come at 90%, he's dangerous to everybody. And the only one that, in my opinion, beat Phil, it's Kai. Yeah. Now, the judges saw it differently. I don't, you know, like I said, their opinion. But I'm not blind too. I was a judge before, and I saw Kai winning, especially in 2014. Hey, maybe I'm wrong, whatever. But it kind of left a bad taste, you know, in Kai's, I don't know, mind, conscious, whatever. Yeah. He felt like, you know what, man, what else can we do? You know what I mean, George? Here you are. You did everything you can, and you brought me in the best shape of my life, the biggest I ever been, and then you give it to me. Why should I do it? Like, why should I do it again? I'm like, yeah, but Kai, this is your dream, man. This is things, you know, you never know. It's change, you know. But, you know, the good thing about Kai, like, even when he got defeated, he's not the kind of guy that is going to cry, whatever. You know, he looked at me, it wasn't our time, bro. He goes, you know, sometimes we can do the best we can. He said, people coming and telling me, you won. He said, well, yeah, you know what? I didn't win. He said, so it's you know, he goes, that's God's will. Maybe he don't want me to win. Yeah. I said, yeah, but you know, I said, but you know, your fan loves you, man. They want to see you. So you know what? Me and him talking, I never know. You never know. I never know what's gonna happen, what he wants to do. He's
Yeah.
training very hard. He's actually looking amazing. Like he's sending me update. He's looking really good. So the next time we're gonna see him, I think in Pittsburgh. For guest posing.
Yeah.
So you never know. He might from there change his mind. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't want to push anybody. We're all grown men. It's hard to tell somebody what to do or not to do. It's up to the individual at the end. I'm just a coach.
Right. Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Well, that really covers everything. I appreciate it so much, George. Been meaning to have you as a guest as soon as I started this thing a couple weeks ago, so I'm glad it happened today. And like I said, we're all going to be following you closely. Please keep us updated. You're in our thoughts. You're in our prayers. We all love you. We all want you to pull through this, come out on top, and be an inspiration for all the other people who might have to deal with this themselves, which everybody out there watching this, you're going to be affected by cancer one way or another, whether you like it or not in your lifetime, yourself or someone you love. So, be prepared, do what you can, I suppose. And, I appreciate you sharing all that preventative information that you're learning, and I'm sure you're going to continue to do that with everybody. So.
Of course, man. And thank you for having me. And I just want to have, quick note for everybody, man, to watch in and these great, amazing fan of bodybuildings. I just want to thank them for all those positive vibes they've been sending me, for the prayers they've been offering. Because, like I'm choking. It's really amazing, man. Worldwide, getting these amazing people just offering help, sending me articles, whatever I need. So, it really feels humbling to know that I have touched so many people in one way or another. So I just want to thank them all. I want to thank MD for giving me the opportunity to thank them. And you guys are the only people actually that ask me before they posted anything out there, including my friend Bob Chicarolo called me, talked to me as a friend, and next thing he put it online. I'm kind of like disappointed, but there's no negativity in my life now, so that's why I didn't reach out. I didn't tell him anything, but I just want to stay positive. I just want to stay positive. Thank you, Andy, for being the positive, person. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Ron. Thanks, everybody, man. You guys are amazing people, and God bless.
Thank you. All right. For the Ronline Report, this has been George Farah and Ron Harris. Thank you so much for watching.